words that I must point out of it. Now, the basic argument that I have from the perspective of locating the concept of post-colonial appears here, which was published in a book published from London. There are two types of colonizers, one classical, the other modern. The classicals being the Greeks and Romans, and the modern being Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, Persians, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, British, etc. My argument is, it is with the discussions of Said, that is Orientalism, that the concept of post-colonial started taking its roots. He is responsible for propagation of the term. But when it comes to Indian context, I always feel doubt if the time post-British is appropriate for the location of the term. India is a country that's time and again dominated by foreign agencies, foreign rules, and foreign authorities. That way, we find that there were Greeks, Huns, Mughals, Portuguese, and the British to have ruled this land. So, why is it the case that we apply this concept of post-colonialism to the times after the British left this country? Why don't we think that the times after the aliens or Greeks or Huns or Mughals or the Portuguese left this country can also be post-colonial? In fact, this question was put to the post-colonial scholar, top scholar of the world, that was Bill Ashcroft at an international conference at Hyderabad, and he also could not give a proper explanation, saying that India happens to be a different context and he did not take it into consideration, and that's why this question still remains haunting and still haunts my mind. Second thing, this is the list of the theorists and scholars of post-colonialism. And there are also certain terms that are related to the post-colonial theory. For example, epistemic violence is the term that has been widely propagated and used by Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. Apart from that, we have the concept of neo-colonialism as used by Jean-Paul Sartre. And then colonization is another concept that we find on the internet. And again, there are other concepts like decolonization that basically belongs to, say, the continent of Africa, particularly Ethiopia and Thiango. And then there's concept of Leonidas, in fact, discussed by Homi K. Baba. The lumpen proletariat is again the kind of concept used by Franz Fanon. Again, here there's a definition of subaltern theory. I shall skip it. Then I would like to come to the second point of my presentation. It is, can the subaltern speak? That is the subaltern question. Basically, this essay is complex and controversial, as we understand. Then the theme of this essay happens to be the incident of Bhuvneshwari Bhaduri, who was a participant of freedom struggle then, and who committed suicide. There were certain reasons that I wouldn't have much time to explain. In fact, that's a long incident. And again, the crux of the matter of this happens to be the androcentric side does not offer any space of discursiveness that can be used by the subalterns to speak. So this is the crux of the argument of this essay. And then I would like to tell that Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak has, in fact, two types of things, justification and U-turn. So instead of again going further, there are so many things and we're short of time. So I wouldn't just discuss all the issues here. Then as far as this essay is concerned, that is simply Eurocentric analysis and all that. Well, as it is the case, finally I discussed with Mahashweta Devi's literature. There are so many works that I mentioned here, and I'm sorry that I had to receive a message from the chairperson. Actually, I would have concluded it by myself. Anyway, this is the kind of presentation I wanted to make. Thank you very much for that. Now, may I please call upon Ms. Shilpi Bhattacharya to come here and make a presentation of her paper entitled Identity Crisis and Gender, Inequality in the Srimana Streams Culture. Yes.
members of the dais. A very good evening to one and all present here. As Professor Barad already told you, that South Asia, the themes that are written by the South Asian authors are mostly on division, on poverty, rape, molestation, communalism, and all these themes I felt, let me think of a topic like identity crisis and gender inequality, and I could relate these two things very much closely with Taslima Nasreen's lecture. So the topic from my today's presentation is identity crisis and gender inequality in Taslima Nasreen's lecture. It was 25th August 1962 in Mymensingh, Bangladesh. An ex-doctor turned author, Taslima Nasreen. She was an MBBS doctor, but unfortunately she had to leave all her practice and has to run away here and there to take refuge in various countries just because of the power of her pen. With freedom of thought, she was a very liberal, she had very liberal views, genuine expression, boldness to write whatever she felt and to serve it nakedly to the society, rawly, with its own rawness. Then equality of women, freedom of women as human beings. She wanted that women to be treated as human beings. Then Taslima Nasreen rose to global fame by her strong feminist views. This work, Lajja, Shame, true to its name, it is a shame of neglecting humanity for communalism and treatment of women as male property. Now, Lajja, that she wrote in the year 1992, that was 13 days after the demolition of Babri Masjid in India. The story encompasses a struggle of a minority Hindu family living in Bangladesh during those days. The father, it is a story of 4 members in a family, in a Hindu family, minority family in the majority Muslim community in Bangladesh. The father Sudhamai, mother Kiranmoy, Suranjan and Maya being the son and the daughter of the family. Now, identity crisis came to each and every member of this family. Sudhamai, the father, just imagine the division took place, India was divided, Pakistan was formed, Pakistan was divided, Bangladesh was formed. Now, the person residing, Sudhamai was residing in the same place and became a victim of 2 divisions all of a sudden. He had to sell his ancestral property, he has to forego the promotions that was due, he had to leave all those promotions just because he was made to realize that he is a minority in the whole majority Muslim community of Bangladesh. He has to give up wearing the traditional dhoti that he generally used to wear and he settled in pajamas. Kiranmoy, the wife of the minority family, she had to stop applying sindoor because she was then taken to be a Hindu family and all sort of corruption, rape, molestation she feared could happen to her. She gives up wearing the white sponge shell bangles that Bengalis generally wear as a marriage identity. Maya, she had to take refuge in her Muslim friend's house because being a young girl of a Hindu family, many tortures could be done by the majority community. She had to take refuge. She had to change her name to hide her Hindu identity. Sudhamai then slowly begins to realize that he is now left with a crisis of identity and loss of dignity. Identity crisis not only came to all these people, but the son, who was a staunch atheist by views, he was looked upon as who had more Muslim friends from the majority community. He had only few from his own community. So he was looked upon as an outsider by the same friends, including as if he has included in the boundaries of Bangladesh. He finds himself an alien in a society where an atheist like him was forced to convert to Islam to qualify to marry Parveen, whom he loved. Even the brutal rape, his sister was actually taken by the majority Muslim community, And after the aim of from brutal rape of the prostitute was actually aimed to take a revenge from the revenge against his sister's abduction. But all these things, even all these things went on. Then he was then left with the question of his own belongingness. Nothing could satisfy him. His belongingness in the society of the majority community was at stake again. And therefore a huge identity crisis was felt by each and every person of, as the time constraint is here with me also, let me wind up quickly, that gender inequality was faced by Kiranmoy, by Maya, and the women being taken as a property of males was very clear, because when the ancestral property of Sudhamai was at stake, the daughter Maya was abducted simply because so that the property could be taken by the majority community. Then again in the next stage, the prostitute was brutally raped by Suranjan. The reason was simply to take revenge. So, though identity crisis was there, along with it, a gender inequality was also faced in the schematic structure. Thank you.
Elam Fatima to make a presentation of.
Good evening, everybody. Literature and literature. So I have selected my country's literature, and especially the northeastern part of India, which is again a state of myth and mysticism, that is Nagaland, and it is a house of a number of tribes, and it boasts of its own ethnicity and culture. And against the background of political turmoil, social unrest, and military insurgency, it served as a background of numerous captivating and intriguing tales. And what such beautiful novel is written by Esther Erlu. She is an award-winner novelist who lives in Norway, and this beautiful novel, A Terrible Matriarchy, has been translated into numerous languages across the world. Now, a terrible matriarchy, as the name suggests, as the name seems rather different, because we have heard so far of patriarchy, and it looks quite bizarre. Of course, terrible. How can terrible be appendaged with matriarchy when India has this practice of terrible patriarchy? And especially from which the part of India I am. I'm from UP, and their patriarchy results in this honor telling. You all must be familiar with this practice of honor telling also. So I'm talking about Esther Erlu, the Naga writer, and the culture of matriarchy and the position of women, how they have been marginalized, and how beautifully she intertwines tale and about the woes and anxieties and subjugation of women, and how they have been marginalized in their own community, called as Kohima, in the lap of the bucolic setting of Nagaland's serendipity. Now, we have heard about these Minkabo or Muzu. These are two societies which claim to have matriarchs. But anthropologists wonder whether there isn't anything called as matriarchy, because the history validates that we have always had patriarchs, the father as our head of the family. But these Minkabo or Muzu are two societies which had matriarchs, and they had every word in their decision, like with regards to fixing of alliances, matrimonial alliances, or dispensing judgment, or appointing an heir, or anything. And this particular novel, it deals with the matriarch. There is an old dame in a family, Vibano, and what she does, she maltreats all the women associated with her. She owns a very stinking and biased attitude towards male and female progeny, and she has biased attitude towards male members, and she abhors the female members of her family. Now, Lieno or Lieno is actually the protagonist, and this particular novel documents the journey of Lieno, which in Angami means little errant. And it documents her journey from the age of 5 till 23, how she has been subjected to mental and physical harassment by her grandmother. She is sent to her grandmother's home at the age of 5 by her parents so that she can be groomed in such a manner that later on she will be fit into traditional role of ideal Naga girl and Naga daughter, and later on ideal daughter-in-law. Now, this old lady, she is actually matriarch, as the name suggests. She is the matriarch of the family. But what Estevin Eralu has tried to say, or what when one goes through the novel, it seems that she is nothing but an alter ego of a patriarch, and she is a misogynist. Like misogynist, according to Ellen G. Johnson, he has given a statement which has actually become a definition now of misogyny, that misogyny is a cultural attitude of hatred for females simply because they are female. And in India, this hatred is manifested in numerous ways. It is manifested through sexual discrimination, objectification of women, and denigration of women, and violence against them. Now, as you can see, female feticide, and because of this misogyny itself validates that female feticide is at its peak in India, and it itself suggests that how there is an inborn obsessive hunger in the Indian patriarchal system to have a male child as its progeny. Now, what do this terrible, keeping in mind the basis of my PowerPoint presentation as the novel A Terrible Matriarchy, this novel itself serves as a cultural anthropology of rural India. For our boys Nagas, what do? They say us, like it is one of the us, and it is close to their heart. And for girls, they say other. And education of girls is an unattractive investment. It seems to be the wastage of time and energy, money also. Now I'll be a bit fast. Now I have made certain points, man versus women, and after consulting lots of books and all that, these are the few things that man is always the self-subject. He is while woman is always considered as the other. If we talk about Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, it says that man is always the subject and woman is always the other. It's because of the anatomical differences, because he has the phallus and that leads to dominion, and woman does not have. That's why she is the other, and he for God only and she for God in him. And I would like to quote Milton's line that for valor he and contemplation formed, for softness she and sweet attractive grace. He for God only and she for God in him. So it is the man who serves the state and woman should be serving him. Now here, let me just, I have been reminded to conclude. Marriage and dowry, it has been discussed at length in this particular novel, that it's a social compulsion and remedy. Sorry to say, at times it is considered as a remedy to rectify an unrestrained male, an incorrigible male. And that's what happened in UP a lot. And Simone de Beauvoir was right when she says that it's an oppressive and exploitative economic arrangement that binds women to domesticity and reinforces sexual inequality. And I think I should just conclude that there are certain differences of religion also, like King James Version. It says that women is nothing but the weaker vessel, and yet men you dwell among them, and you be tolerant towards that weaker vessel. So what the aim of this PowerPoint presentation was, keeping in mind Estevin Eralu's A Terrible Matriarchy as a novel, but it was a kind of survey towards what people think about Indian women and how they have been treated and marginalized in our society, and what are the different ways in which we perceive women from the eyes of religion, society, culture, and the world. Thank you.
Next participant, may I please call upon Ms. Devika Rani to make a presentation here, the topic being Politics of Taming in the Taming of Women by Silva.
Yeah, this is the title of my paper, and this is the name that you have read. My presentation. In introduction, I have just taken the support of Simone de Beauvoir's one petition. The second says one is not born but becomes a woman, and you can say the definition she is supposed to conform to negative identity imposed on her by the social order. And when you read literature, you find that women protagonists or minor women characters undergo transformation through violence imposed on them. That is what I would say, taming. Who are such women? Such women are the social or the cultural deviants. The implication who women will refuse to accept, submit to male definition and expectations of who they are, or what they are, and what to do, who to do, what to do in the male-centered society. And I'm quoting Morrison to support my viewpoint. When the deviant is a woman, the community is at stake because its continuity is strengthened by a woman. I would like to reread this. When the deviant is a woman, the community is threatened, particularly since its continuity is at stake. Such women, who are the deviants, are the women who have intelligence, the ability, the willpower to question the wrong done to her by man or by society. And such a woman is also a woman who refuses to remain passive or silent. She would like to empower herself through which with feminism actually endorses 3 tools of women's empowerment: voice, literacy, and economic freedom. And when such a woman gets empowered through these, man feels threatened. That is when he starts inflicting violence, both physical and sexual, and thus he is succeeded in silencing her. Silence within bracket, I have said, taming. And silence is marginality or absence or erasure of self and negation, which Arthur says is a refusal of existence